letter writing is something that I kind of done in the past more, getting back to it, but it's something you can do on its own, or it's something like I do it in conjunction with email or requests and Facebook fundraising, and it's kind of like a reminder. You're making sure you're not missing anybody who might have missed the Facebook post or whatever. So you can do it either way. And so one of the first things I would suggest you do is make a list. Like before you even write the letter, think about who you're going to send it to, and what a good place to start is like your Christmas list and who you send out Christmas cards to, and then think who else. Like expand that. Like who do you see in your daily life? Who do you work with? Who do you maybe talk to at the bank on a regular basis? I sent the letter of my letter writing campaign to our eye doctor and send it to the clinics and stuff, and we've gotten a response. So when you think you have your list, think a little bit more, because you could probably add to it just by extending that thought process a little bit. So with my letter writing campaign is we've always focused first on telling our story, and in doing that, it's kind of start with personalizing a little bit with Matthew, telling a little bit about him. A lot of people are going to know a little bit anyway if you're sending it to him, but maybe what he's done throughout the year as a boy or a young man as he grew. So make it more personal. Then I try to tell a little bit about CF also. If people don't understand, I simplify it. I know you can say, how do you simplify CF? But just a little bit about how it's a genetic disease and how it affects the body and the problems it causes within Matt's body. And then I like to tell a little bit about how those problems impact him on a daily basis. So like his treatment burden, which has changed over the years. So each year my letter's a little different. Like the number of hospital visits, the number of pills they take in a year. Sometimes just if you just calculate how much did you take this week and times it by the weeks and year, even I was shocked at how many pills Matt would swallow in a year. So just things like that. Talk about if these had hospitalizations, talk about new treatments that have come. And then I always like to talk about our hope for the future for Matt in each letter too. So it's not just like, this is CF, but this is what our hope is. I like to try to be informative with my letter and capture the opportunity, because CF is about, or Great Strides is about fundraising, but it's also a really good opportunity to advocate and teach people about what we're going through as a family or Matt as an individual. And so I try to capture those opportunities by talking a little bit about the foundation itself and the success of the foundation and how far research has come. I think when I first started doing letter writing campaigns, we didn't even have Pulmazine or Inhaled Toby. I mean, I think we might have had Inhaled Toby, but not the pod handler. So there's been a lot of changes in the year. So each year I give a little update on what's new, and I make sure that when I do that, I give credit where credit's due, and I thank the people who have donated in the past, and I let the people that I'm writing to know this is how your money's being spent. It's buying the science that's going to make a difference in Matt's life, you know. And I like to always try to give a little bit of update on like where research is going now and why we still need that support to push that science along. I don't always make it about Matt either. It's, you know, especially more recently, I let them know how great Matt has been doing with Trikafta, but that 10% of people don't have Trikafta and are still living in that, what I like to say, nightmare that Matt was living in before Trikafta. So let's see. I think that's about all the capturing of that opportunity. But I also, when I write the letter, you can be creative. I'm not as creative. I've seen some really creative letters in the past that other people have done. Like I've seen some that are like wanted posters. They do it like wanted, the cure. I've seen some done like the intro to Star Wars. I'm not that creative, but I try to be creative with my coloring, like a colored paper that's something eye-catching, or Pictures, definitely pictures. I try to put pictures on of Matt, or sometimes I put pictures on of like just a picture of his treatment burden for the day. I'll put, how many IVs he's on that day, or a handful of the pills he takes in a day, just to give people a visual about what life is like with cystic fibrosis. And then the one thing I would suggest as far as the makeup of the letter itself is to be really careful as far as like the font. Make it easy to read, nothing too, sometimes that real fancy writing can look a little hard for people to read, and that's just because of feedback I've had. Or if you're sending it to great aunts or great uncles or grandma and grandpa, that you make it too small and they're not going to be able to read it. And I've had a couple of aunts that have made sure they let me know that. Anyway, and then this is a big one. I like to make it easy when we do our letter writing campaign. I always put in a self-addressed stamped envelope. And I'm not always going to get those back, and so it's a little bit of a cost for me, but a lot of times I do. And that makes it easy for someone just to write a check or throw some cash in if they want to do that, but and send it right back to me. I think it's worth the investment to do that. So I make it easy for them to support us. And I just learned a little trick from Christy, that there's a way if people, because the CF Foundation is trying to go paperless and have been be completely paperless as much as possible. There is a way on the CF app that if you get checks in a letter writing campaign, that you can scan it right onto your fundraising page. And so I would just say, don't ask me how to do that, but talk to your events coordinator at your chapter and they can help you do that. I did it once yesterday to test it, and it was really easy. So the other thing, making sure I have notes over here just so I won't forget anything important. After you're all done and you've done that, when the walk is over, I like to send a follow-up letter to everybody that I sent a letter to. It's a thank you for your sponsorship or your donation, or however you helped. If you helped just by sending us good thoughts or prayers or whatever, but I include everyone I sent it to, because sometimes someone didn't, they weren't able to support you this year, they might be able to support you next year. So I send a thank you letter with an update on how successful our walk is, and send it out to everybody to keep those contacts warm. So I think I kind of rushed through that, but I think I pretty much covered the points of the letter writing campaign that I wanted to make sure that I shared as far as what we do. So if anyone has any questions.
I do. Have you ever been surprised by who donated? As
Yes.
You're kind of expanding. I feel like sometimes, I imagine you must get people and you're like, whoa, that's
yes.
great.
And it's so, it is, and it's so motivating to reach out to someone that you don't think will donate, but it's like, what harm is it just to send it and get it? It's motivating, and it's inspiring to know that there are so many people out there that really, really do care and really want to make the difference.
Mm-hmm. Amy just popped up in the chat. Amy Fink also does letter writing, and it's, brings in the most fundraising. They do 300 letters a year. And one thing that she started incorporating that's made it really easy is a QR code straight to her team page. So folks that maybe don't want to send a check back or do that, they can scan the QR code on the letter and it takes her right to Amy Fink's fundraising page, and they can make that donation from their phone. And it's kind of streamlined a little. I know it's been great.
We have to talk to her. That might be a little too much technology, but it's a really good idea.
Christy could make it for you and just send you the image and you can just pop it on. That's
okay.
what